Guess who's back? It's another math episode from Mr. Mac. Alright. So we're going to start today's video with a little bit of multiplying and dividing integers. Let's start with question number 9. Negative 5 times 10. Now before we jump in this, let's go over our facts. So if we're multiplying with two of the signs that are the same, our outcome will be positive. Alright, the same goes for a positive times a positive equals a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. If the signs are going to be different, then our outcome is going to be a negative. And that goes for if we have a negative times a positive, it equals a negative, or a positive times a negative equals a negative. Now, if you're one of those people that are more visual, you want to do something fancy for yourself, I recommend you making your tic-tac-toe board with your 3 positive signs first, and then everything else will be your negative sign. And the way you read this is basically, if you look at the first row, a positive times a negative is a negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive. It works in any direction you go, and this solely is for multiplication and division. I repeat, this is solely for multiplication and division. Alright, so let's start with question number 9, I'm sorry. So we have negative 5 times 10. Alright, now if you're one of those people that stuck on the signs, let's worry about the signs first. According to our rule, over here we have a negative and we're multiplying it by a positive. Those signs are different, so it's going to give us a negative outcome. Now I can only focus on the numbers. 5 times 10 is 50. Next question. Negative 24 divided by negative 6. Both are negative, so I'm expecting a positive outcome. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Question 11. 12 times negative 3. We have a positive value times a negative value. They're different signs, so I'm expecting a negative result. 12 times 3 is 36. Final answer, negative 36. Question 12. A positive is being divided by a negative. 35 divided by negative 7. Well, let's think back. A positive divided by a negative. Those are two different signs, so I know my quotient is going to be a negative. 35 divided by 7 is negative 5. Alright, and it could be as simple as that, separating the numbers at once, separating the signs. Alright, dealing with one at a time is easier when you're learning such a new topic. Over here we have a negative and a negative. Both symbols are the same, so we know our answer is going to be a positive. You don't have to put the positive sign, but I'm just here to just show you in case you're working on this one at a time and you just really want to make sure you get this down pat. And you realize, like, I'm not even mentioning the tic-tac-toe board. It's a great supplement, it's a great hint, but you more so want to understand the conceptual part of this. Question number 14 is where things get a little bit rocky, a little bit harder, but it's nothing we can't handle. So let's do 2 at a time. We have a negative times a positive. Now when we multiply two different signs, we will expect a negative outcome. So I'm going to put my negative, and now I'm only going to focus on the numbers without the signs. 4 times 3 is 12. Alright, I'm going to carry down the negative 6, and in this case we have a negative divided by a negative. Both of those signs are the same, so I know my answer is going to be a positive. 12 divided by 6 gives us a quotient of positive 2. Now on to question number 15. Positive times a positive gives us a positive. 6 times 7 is 42. Question 16. A positive divided by a positive gives us a positive. 40 divided by 5 gives us 8. Now let's move on.
Question 17. In Buffalo, New York, the temperature was negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning. By the afternoon, the temperature increased by 10 degrees Fahrenheit. A. Illustrate the scenario on the vertical line number. So before we go ahead and do that, one of the first things I want to make sure we do is just underline some key important information. First, let's start off with the temperature being negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And later on in the day, it increased by 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and first label where we would start on our number line. So I started by placing a line over here. That will be known as our original temperature. And since we're going to increase by 10 degrees Fahrenheit, I now want to go ahead and count up. Now let's go ahead and trace that. It's also good to just notice that as I'm going up and down this vertical number line, it's increasing by increments of 2 each time as I'm going up, and it decreases by increments of 2. All right, since it's counting up, I want to recognize that me going from here to here, that's plus 2. Here, plus 4, plus 6, plus 8, and then plus 10. Now I'm going to extend my original temp line all the way up there. Always make sure you're dealing with an arrow with direction. So our drawing, as we mentioned, goes up to 8 degrees for the afternoon temperature. And now we move on to choice B. Choice B says, write an expression to represent the scenario. So just keep in mind when we say an expression is similar to an equation, but it's going to be a mathematical sentence without an equal sign. So let's go ahead and utilize the information provided to us earlier on in the question. We started off at -2, and since the degrees Fahrenheit has increased by 10, that increase will allow us to have a sum. That's a -2 plus 10. When we find the sum of them according to our vertical number line, we end up ending or stopping at 8 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's it.